So what's the best part about owning a Tesla? Keep watching and find out. Hey, good morning guys. Welcome back to the channel. I've done videos in the past, many people have, about the 5 best things of a Tesla, the 5 best features, the 10 favorite things or whatever. And this morning it struck me that there's actually all of those things, at least for me, and I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, all of those things, the 5 favorite things and the 10 best things, sort of boil down to this one thing. And for those of you that are concerned that I'm going to talk for 15 minutes and give you this one thing at the end, you'll be happy to know I'll give it to you right now, then I'll explain afterwards. So for those of you that just want a quick video, you can listen to what I say for these first minute or two and then move on. But all of those things, I thought about it. This morning I left and I have an hour drive to my first appointment. And it struck me that I was excited to get in the car for that hour drive. And that's the best part about owning a Tesla, is to say that you're excited every time you get in the car to drive. Now, for those of you that know me, you've known that I've loved to drive my whole life. I've always driven a lot of miles. But those that know me really well also know that I kind of have a limit. For me, 20 to 30 minutes has historically been the perfect drive. And anything longer than that, you know, I kind of want to stop and get out of the car. I mean, it's not that I get sore and stiff. I just, you know, you get road weary staring at the road and all that. And but getting in my Tesla, that's gone. I mean, this morning I knew I had an hour drive and I was totally fine with it. In fact, I was excited. I have an hour drive before my first appointment. I get to chill out in my car for an hour before I have to do any work today. And I tried to quantify what it is about the car. Now, I have felt this way before. In fact, every brand new car I've ever bought, and there have been several, I've felt that way about, but it's always been temporary. It's always been temporary. And I thought about it and I thought, you know, what is it about it? Now, and in this car, I didn't want to do this video because I wanted to make sure that the newness of this car wore off. I've had it for a year and a half. I've got over 62,000 miles on it. I wanted to make sure that the newness of this car wore off before I shot this video. Now, the car that I felt closest to this about previously was my Ford C-Max Hybrid. That car has a lot of tech. It's very comfortable, very smooth, very reliable car. And being a hybrid, the engine only ran about 40% of the time. It's not a plug-in hybrid, just a normal hybrid, but you get in the car, accelerate, the engine would run, and it would charge the battery and accelerate the car at the same time. Most hybrids discharge the battery while accelerating. The C-Max, if you floor it, it will do that, but if you're accelerating modestly, it charges the battery and accelerates the car. So you accelerate up to whatever it is, 35 or 40, and as soon as you're up at speed, the engine shuts off and stays off for half a mile, whatever, or 3/4, sometimes as long as 2 miles. But it'll stay off for half a mile to a mile. And then you slow down and it's regenning, charging the battery. You accelerate again, the engine runs and charges the battery. You're up to speed, the engine shuts off, and you're going for another mile or so. So that the engine barely ran in that car. And so I thought a lot about this. Part of the reason that I just love being in the Tesla is the electrification part of it. There is a serenity to an electric car. Now listen to this truck next to me. I can appreciate a rumbling engine. We have our BMW, it's an M car, it's a high performance car. You can really hear a lot of rumble and turbo whistle and all that, and I can appreciate that. But that sound wears on you over time. And in my hybrid, the engine only ran for a brief period of time, then it was electric and it was serene. So a big part of it is just being electric. But here's the thing. We also own our little smart electric drive. And that car is fun to drive, and every time I drive it, I think, oh cool, get to drive the smart, you know, it's kind of fun, whatever. But in that car 25-30 minutes, and I'm not excited to be in it anymore. It's a little bit of a rough ride. It's a very basic car. So it's not just the EV portion that makes a Tesla so, I don't know, so, I don't want to say addictive to driving, but just that makes a Tesla so desirable and so, so serene and experienced to drive. It is something about the design ethos, the design philosophy behind the car, and especially the Model 3. The Model 3 is very minimalistic interior. The Model S is a little bit more busy. So that's a little bit of it, but I did feel this way about the Model S that I was driving last week also. Now, to a lesser degree than the Model 3, and part of that's just that I own the Model 3 and not the Model S, but there's something about a Tesla, there's something about a car that was designed by people who love cars, but don't have a 100-year history making cars the same way they've always been made. So it's just, there's something about it. It's almost an intangible. It's to a certain extent, it's like somebody asking you to define a relationship. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. Let's just say a friendship. I have certain friends in my life that it seems like no matter how much time I spend with them, it's always refreshing to be with them. I mean, I wouldn't want to be with anybody 24/7, but you know what I mean by that. And you ask, what is it about them? Well, sometimes I think a lot of times you can't quite put your finger on it, and that's to a certain extent my thought, my feeling about owning a Tesla and driving it every day. There are the tangible things. There's the no gas, there's the basically no maintenance, there's the reliability part of that, there's the smoothness, there's all those things, and they are tangible and they are demonstrable. You can show people those things, but there is something intangible about it as well that really you can't define unless you own and drive one. And now if this car had a gas engine, would it be the same? Certain things would be similar. I like the handling dynamic and that's not necessarily just an electric thing, but then it is. So a lot of what makes a Tesla, I can actually even feel in my little Smart Electric Drive. So case in point, Smart Electric Drive is rear wheel drive, just like my Model 3, and the battery is under the floor, just like the Model 3. So the Smart car and the Model 3 have that low center of gravity and that little bit different feel through the chassis and the suspension of a rear-wheel drive car. And I know most Teslas are all-wheel drive, and they have a similar feel, but for me personally with my car, there's a similarity there. Now, this car comes very close to the same feel as our BMW. We have a 2019 BMW M240i convertible. It's an xDrive car, which is all-wheel drive. It is similar in weight to this car. Both these cars are right around 3,900 pounds. They both have similar horsepower. This car just got a 5% horsepower boost. It's roughly 300 horsepower. The BMW is rated at 327 or something like that. I know a number of people have said that the BMWs are actually higher power than that if you dyno them, but this acceleration is somewhat similar. The handling feel is very similar. But, and BMWs are known to be drivers' cars, the ultimate driving machine, as they say, and it is a phenomenal car. This is a better car, though. And I find it amazing that the cheapest Tesla, basically, that they make is better than this M-Series performance, all-wheel drive, pretty well decked out BMW that we have. And so Tesla just does things differently with their cars, and I would say at least 50% of that is purely the fact that the car is electric and nothing else, and 50% of it is the rest of the Tesla experience. The large screen, which other cars are adopting that. The Ford Mach-E is supposedly going to have a small binnacle thin screen and then a large vertical tablet in the middle. I'm interested really to see what that car is like. This is something that other manufacturers are adopting, but there's something about the serenity of having just a screen without all the physical buttons and knobs everywhere. And this is coming from someone who really likes a stylized dash and has historically liked a busy interior. I'm beginning more and more to really love the serenity of the basic layout of this interior. And in fact, oftentimes I'll put the screen into night mode just to, let's see here, display night. Just because it's a little bit more serene. It looks a little bit less busy. And so oftentimes I will do that during the day, especially on a day like this that if the sun's out, it's too washed out and light. But today it's overcast, and oftentimes I'll keep the screen in night mode just because it adds to an even more basic look to the dash. And all of those things sort of mixed together. If you ask somebody what it is about their favorite recipe, favorite cake or something, they're not necessarily going to say, oh, I love the vanilla extract in that cake. Oh, I love the brown sugar that they use. I mean, there's components you may enjoy, but it's the cake as a whole, and that's sort of the way I feel about the car. So anyway, I wanted to go ahead and be as specific as I could be about something that is actually non-specific and somewhat vague. So I hope I'm communicating myself well in this video. Those of you that own a Tesla, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comment section below. My channel is still small enough that I'm able to respond to nearly every question that I get. So hopefully I'll be able to continue to communicate with you guys directly as the future moves forward. And anyway, have yourselves a wonderful day, and catch you in the next video. Bye-bye now. Oh, I think I confused everybody today.